Good evening, students.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
We will get started in 2 minutes. I'm just arranging all the syllabus that is there for term 1. We'll discuss that first and then we'll go to the class. Okay, just 2 minutes. Yes, students. So I'm sharing my screen. Confirm if you guys are able to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. So I hope everybody would have got an update about the breakage of exam to 2 parts, right? Into 2 terms, right? Everybody knows this, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in the term 1, what we have is in chemistry, we have the first 3 chapters. Biology, we have the 6th chapter. I think that is also over, right? And we have this natural phenomenon where you have chapter 10, which is light, which we have already completed. And chapter 11 is what we are going to see today. Okay, this is for term 1. And for term 2, you have chapter 4 and 5 of chemistry, 8 and 9 of biology. Similarly, you have 12th and 13th of physics and 15th chapter. And there is a chapter called sources of energy, which was chapter number 14. Okay, so that is removed from your physics. That is not there, that is deleted. So in chapter number 10, if you see, where is it? Yeah. In chapter number 10, we have already seen all these things: reflection of light by curved surfaces, images formed by spherical mirrors, center of curvature, principal axis, principal focus, all these things. So mirror formula we have seen, we have applied them in problems also. Similarly, we have seen refraction, we have seen loss of refraction, refractive index, and we saw refraction of light by spherical lens also. Then we have lens formula and its application, after which we had power of lens. So there is no deletion in this chapter. So you have to read everything. Whereas in the human eye and colorful world, if you see, we have only 4 subtopics. What are they? Refraction of light through prism means the concept of refraction will get continued from here. Refraction of light through prism. Then we have a concept called as dispersion of light, then scattering of light and its applications in daily life, which is very, very small. Okay. Similarly, the remaining two chapters that are there for physics are electricity. In electricity, we have seen what is Ohm's law, resistance, resistivity, factors affecting everything, series, combination, parallel, and its application, electric power, interrelation between PV, I, and R. So here also there is no deletion. Okay, nothing is deleted in electricity chapter also. And last week we started this chapter, right? Magnetic effects of current is what we started. Then we saw what is magnetic field lines. Then we saw how is field due to a current carrying conductor. Till here we have seen. But for time being, what we are going to do is this chapter will be put on hold as is there only for your second. Okay. So today I'm going to start with the 11th chapter. This chapter will maximum take 2 classes. That's it, because they have deleted something. So human eye part and its defects are deleted. Okay. So I'll show you in the textbook. If you see, if you guys have textbook, please mark it. So human eye, as the name suggests, human eye and the colorful world. The first discussion itself should have been about human eye, about its parts and how each part is going to function and all those things. Then we have something called as power of accommodation and defects of vision and how those defects can be corrected with respect to human eye. So all these things are deleted. They are not there. This part we need not touch at all. Okay. So if you guys want it for knowledge, you can just read it. Okay. But from exam perspective, it is not there. Okay. Next is, this is the concept that you have, refraction of light through a prism. Yeah. So we are going to see what is refraction through a prism. For that, first we need to know what is prism. So this topic 11.3 is there. Then we have 11.4. 11.5 is there. There is atmospheric refraction, based on which there is something called a scattering of light. Then we have Tyndall effect, and why is sky blue, and the color of sunrise and sunset. With that, this chapter is over. So this is also a very, very small chapter. Okay. Am I clear, guys? Is there any doubt with respect to what you have and what you don't?
Yes, sir.
Clear, right? I hope you guys have made a mark in the note in your textbook.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay.
So the day after tomorrow's test will be MCQ, sir.
No. The test, because I don't have a blueprint, right? Blueprint is not released. Okay. So we don't know how. So when it comes to MCQ, okay, to answer your question, when it comes to MCQs, right, you can have separate MCQ questions, okay, or you will have case studies based question. You have faced case studies questions, sir. In your 9th, I'm sure you guys should have seen it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. And you have assertion reason. So these are the parts you have, but as of now, I'm not going to use any of them. It will be a mix along with subjective, because I want to know how much you people have understood. Only if you write subjective, I can help you correct your mistakes. Okay. So as of now, it will not be there, but we will be conducting an exam series. Once the blueprint is released, right, we ourselves will announce about how the exam pattern is going to be. Based on that, we will give you MCQ. So as of now, don't worry. Prepare as if it is a subjective exam. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
It's for all the subjects, not only for physics, it's for all the subjects. Okay. There. So shall we get started, guys? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So write down the heading in your notes, the refraction of light through a prism. Okay. So what do you mean by prism, guys? Anybody? So if you remember, in the last chapter, when we studied about refraction, we studied about refraction through one of the planar surfaces, which was rectangular glass slab. Do you guys remember this? When you pass light through a rectangular glass slab, the incident ray and the emergent ray will be parallel to each other. Right? All
Yes,
those
sir.
things are there. Now,
Yes, sir.
see, you have learned how light gets refracted through a rectangular glass slab. Okay, accepted. Now, yeah, this is the point that is given. For parallel refracting surfaces, okay, actually it can be parallel plane refracting surfaces as in glass slab. The emergent ray is parallel to the incident ray. It is just a recap of what you have already learned. Okay, but what happens? It is slightly displaced laterally. So what will happen? If you take the diagram of this, there is the incident ray and there is the emergent ray. Okay, the incident ray and the emergent ray will be parallel to each other. And this distance is what we call it as the lateral displacement. Means from the actual path of the incident ray, there is a slight displacement of the emergent ray. Okay. Now, if you think of another object, if I replace this rectangle with a triangle, then how is the light going to get transmitted? This triangle is what we call it as triangular prism. Okay, but I want to eliminate a misconception which many people have. Okay. So first write down the definition of what a prism means. So basically a prism is that kind of a device where it has two planar refracting surfaces. So if there is any transparent material which has two planar refracting surfaces, then that kind of a material can be called as a prism. Okay. So depending on the shape that the prism has, basically prism can be classified as rectangular prism, or it can be classified as a triangular prism, right? So rectangular prism will look something like this. Example is your glass slab. So a glass slab can also be called as a rectangular prism. Similarly, if there is a prism which is in the shape of a triangle, then you call it as a triangular prism. Okay. So what we are going to discuss in this context is about a triangular prism. Okay. So let me show you how it actually looks like. So it is like this. This is going to look something like this. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. It looks something like this. Now, when you see from this side, okay, what shape will you be able to see? Means there will be two triangular refracting surfaces on either of the sides. And this will be a planar surface. Okay. So when you see from this side, what is that you will be able to see? You will be able to see only a small triangle. So when you hold it like this, in front and see, you cannot see the back part. That is the reason why it is called as a triangular prism. Now we are going to see how the refraction through this is going to take place. But before that, we need to see what are all the parts that are associated with it. So let me tell you. So consider a triangular glass prism. It has 2 triangular bases and 3 rectangular lateral surfaces. So I told you, right? It has 2 triangular bases. There's one triangular base. There's another triangular base. And it has 3 rectangular bases. Guys, are you able to visualize it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, okay. Listen. So if there is a prism like this, okay, imagine the bottom is also, like this. Are you guys able to understand? So you are seeing
sir.
from this side actually. When you turn it this side, it looks something like this. So you will have one triangular face here and another triangular face at the back. And you will have one rectangular face, other rectangular face, and third rectangular face. So you totally have 2 triangular faces and 3 rectangular faces. Okay. And what will happen is, since you are seeing from this side, the light will be passed from this side. So when the light is passed from this side, this rectangular surface is one refracting surface. This rectangular surface is another refracting surface. Hence, the light which is passed through a triangular glass prism will undergo 2 refractions. Okay, so after those 2 refractions, how the emergent ray is going to be and what are all the parameters that are associated with it that we are going to see. Okay, now be careful. Listen. Okay. It has 2 triangular bases and 3 rectangular lateral surfaces. These surfaces are inclined to each other. The angle between the 2 lateral surfaces is what we call it as the angle of prism. This angle is what we call it as the angle of prism. Please make a note of this point. Done? No. So there is an activity which you can do. By doing that activity, you will be getting an output. So I will show you I cannot show that activity, rather I'll show you how the diagrams are going. Okay. Now listen. So you have a triangular prism like this, right? Now when the light is passed and when the light is going to hit one of the lateral rectangular surfaces, then what is this point called as, guys? So what is this point called as? It is called as the point of incidence. So the point where the incident ray is hitting, or for that matter, the point where the incident ray is hitting the refracting surface is called as point of incidence. So at the point of incidence, we are supposed to draw a normal. Right, when you draw the normal, then the angle between the incident ray and the normal is what we call it as the angle of incidence. Guys, accept it? Now, outside is air medium and inside is glass medium, and air medium is rarer and glass medium is denser. Okay. So when the ray travels from the rarer to the denser medium, what will happen?
Towards the normal side.
Very good. So towards the normal means it will bend between the actual path and the normal. Okay. So one point is you should not get confused here. It is not parallel to the base, but it is getting bent in some random direction. Okay, it is getting bent like this. Now, what is this ray called as? So this is called as the incident ray, and this ray is called as the refracted ray. Then this is another point of incidence. So the refracted ray is acting like the incident ray. So there's the first refracting surface, there's the second refracting surface. So the refracted ray from the first surface is acting as the incident ray for the second refracting surface. Accepted? So when you draw a normal here.
So can I repeat once more?
Okay. See, this refracted ray is there, no? That you're clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That refracted ray is acting like the incident ray for the second refracting surface. Because it has got this refracted ray is actually formed due to whom? Due to the refraction taking place at the first surface. Correct, Ada?
Yes, sir.
Now, what will happen? This refracted ray is going and hitting the other surface, and this is the actual path. But what will happen? The ray will start bending. It is traveling from denser to rarer medium. So the ray will start bending. Complete the statement, guys. When the ray travels from denser to rarer medium, it bends.
Sir,
Away from the
normal.
Away from the normal.
Away from, very good. Away from the normal means away from the actual path and the normal. Okay. So this angle I'll call it as R1. This angle I'll call it as R2, and this angle I will call it as the angle of emergence. Means this is the emergent ray. See, there are too many markings here. I hope nobody is confused with it, right? Are you guys clear with what I wrote?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please make a note of all these points. Done, guys?
Yes, sir.
So this is a ray diagram that they have given here. Okay. Now see, if this is angle of incident, normal, and all those things, this green color line is there, right? This is called as the extended incident ray. Okay. See, actually, we have prism and everything in the academy. One day, everything is fine. You guys can come and do the activity itself. It's an interesting one and easy one also, not a very tough one. So I'll inform you guys about it. Okay. So that's what they've given here. All these steps you can follow and you yourself can do it. So this is called as an extended incident ray. And this ray is called as the extended emergent ray. Okay. So the angle between the extended incident ray and the extended emergent ray, here you see, you're able to see this D. This D is what is called as angle of deviation. So this is what we call it as angle of deviation. Okay, all the parts are given: incident ray, refracted ray, emergent ray, angle of prism, angle of incidence, angle of refraction, angle of emergence, and angle of deviation. Okay, so whatever I explained while drawing the ray diagram is given here. That's what they've given. As the ray is entering from air to glass at the first surface AB, the light ray on refraction has bent towards the normal because it is traveling from rarer to denser medium. Okay, at the second surface, the light ray has entered from glass to air. So hence it is moving away from the normal. So if you compare the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction at each refracting surface of the prism, is this similar to the kind of bending that occurs in glass slab? Actually, what will happen is you can answer all these questions only when you do it. Okay. If you observe the angle of, see in glass slab, what is happening? What is the relation between angle of incidence and angle of emergence? Guys, in the case of glass slab, what is the relation between angle of incidence and angle of emergence? You know the fact that the incident ray and the emergent ray are parallel to each other. Correct? So there is a normal. When they are parallel, the normals are parallel. So angle of incidence will be equal to the angle of emergence. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Whereas in this case, what will happen is the angle of incidence and the angle of emergence. Please make a note. In the case of a prism, angle of incidence and angle of emergence are not equal always. Please underline the word always. In the case of a prism, the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction are not the same always. Okay. So I use the word always, right? Now you can ask me a question. Sir, is it possible that there is a scenario where they'll be equal? Yes. There is only one particular scenario where that is going to be same, that they are going to be equal. And that condition is called as condition of minimum deviation. Please make a note. Okay. These are all slightly higher than your textbook knowledge only, but please make a note of all these points. Because when I told you, right, when you guys do the activity, you can experiment and see so that you will remember it. So what did I say? The angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence. In what condition? In the condition of did you guys write or not? The angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence under the condition of minimum deviation. Okay, under the condition of minimum deviation. That's, you don't need anything beyond it because there are certain mathematical relations between all these angles, but it is not there for your 10th standard. So we need not discuss it. So this is all about refraction through prism. Any doubt, guys? Is there any point that you didn't understand? Is there any other doubt that you have in your mind? See, whatever it is, you can ask. So can I assume things are okay? Is everything fine?
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, right? Good. That's good. Then we'll go to the next topic: the dispersion of white light by a glass prism. Okay. You guys have a ruler in your hand. You have a pencil box, like you'll have a 15 centimeter scale, right? Do you have it in your hand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, if not, I'll give you some time. Go get it fast if you don't have it. Right. Now what you do is everyone having? Can I get confirmation from everyone?
1 second, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's good. Good, good. So what you guys do? You have light, right? You have a tube light at your home. Is it glowing now? If you're using the ventilation, it is fine. If not, what you do is switch on the light and look at that light from the flat surface. So your scale will have a flat surface and a bulge surface, right? Look at the light from the flat surface side and tell me what is happening. What is that you are able to see? So when you see with naked eye, you will be able to see that light. Similarly, when you see through the scale, tell me what is your observation.
So through which side of the scale we should see?
Through the flat surface. Through the flat
Flat
surface.
surface. Okay, sir.
So you will have a bulge surface, right? The bulge surface should be facing the light. The flat surface should be towards your eyes. What is it you are able to see?
The white light divides into 7 colors.
So are you sure 7 colors are there? Did you were able to count it? Can you
Sir,
just
we
focus
cannot
and
count.
But how do you know that 7? You already
Sir,
know
actually
this.
last class you had said us, sir.
We learned it somewhere. Sir.
You learned this somewhere, okay. But are you able to see it? Right, you are able to see 7 colors, right? So generally what happens is, all these lights, if you go to higher grade, you will understand things. Generally, light is an electromagnetic wave, and each color will have you heard the word called as wavelength?
Sir, could you repeat?
Have you heard the word called as wavelength?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Would have
sir.
heard it, right? So what will happen is, each color is there, no? Each color will have a wavelength and a temperature associated. Okay, I'm repeating it. Each color will have a wavelength and a temperature associated with it. And if you observe, right, there are 7 colors put together, which is constituted or which is going to produce white light. So generally we see white light with naked eye, right? You will be able to see it only as white. But if you see the same thing through different kinds of objects, for example, now you had a scale in your hand which is transparent. It's a plastic surface actually, right? Like similarly, if you look through a glass scale, if you have a glass scale, you will have a different kind of a perspective. Okay. Similarly, you look at that light through your mobile lens. Your mobile lens will look at the same white light in a different color. So if you try to capture a picture, have you ever observed that in sunlight, when you try to capture a picture, there are certain places where you will find the colored rings at the back. If it is a good quality picture, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. But if you have observed it, well and good. Okay.
Sir, I've seen it, sir.
You have seen it, right? So why is it happening? It is because the white light is having all these 7 colors, and though we are not able to see with the naked eye, the different devices like the lens or different transparent materials are able to split it into 7 constituent colors and show it. The same is the concept that is being displayed or exhibited by a glass prism. Suppose you have a glass prism. I told you about light. No? So you can pass different lights. Generally, when you see, if you do the experiment with red light, okay. See, these are all some extra information, guys, just to create some interest. I'm telling you, you need not get scared with these words, okay. Generally, I told you about wavelength, right? So generally, if you have a light which is having only one wavelength associated with it, if it is having only one wavelength. For example, if you take red color will have only one wavelength associated with it. Those kind of lights are called as monochromatic lights. Monochromatic lights. Okay. Suppose light is having more than one wavelength associated, then you can call it as polychromatic. Mono means one, poly is many, right? Chromatic related to wavelength. So if it is having more than one wavelength, then you can call it as suppose it is having 2 wavelengths, you call it as bichromatic. There are different names given. In a similar way, you can, like white light can be called as polychromatic. So the glass prism will help us split this white light into different parts. Means if there is a glass prism, okay, let's say you are passing red light and you keep a white color paper here on a dark room. So this is the side from which the incident ray is there. This is the side on which the refracted ray is coming, emergent ray. Okay. So when you pass it, what will happen is this side, the white light, the red light is there. No, the red light will form, and you will find only one patch. You're able to understand? Have you ever seen laser light like they use for
Sir, could you
presentation?
repeat again?
See, I'll take this torchlight. You're able to see? It's scattering, right? So when I put it on my hand, what is it you're able to see? My hand itself, see, without light, with light. What is happening? You're able to see it bright, no?
Yes, sir.
That is, see, my whole hand, actually, if you see the size of the light, it is only this much. But what is happening to this light? There is an LED, right? There is an LED, light emitting diode. It is scattering the light. You know what the meaning of scattering, right? It is spreading across all the light so that my whole hand is getting illuminated with light. Correct? So imagine this LED is made of red light. You have seen laser, no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So
Yes,
how
sir.
does a laser travel? Have you ever hit it? Have you ever seen people hitting your, so don't try to hit into others' eyes. Have you ever seen hitting it? Like when they switch it on, what you'll be able to see something, you'll be able to see a spot, a small spot at the end also, at a longer distance, because it is able to travel a longer distance. And when that small thing is traveling, no, what will actually happen is when the red light is traveling, you will only find a red color spot on the wall or something at a distance also. Whereas if you hit the same thing with a white light, no, what will happen? Along with white light, you will be able to see a ring also. That is because it is getting scattered. Puridara, are you guys able to
Yes,
visualize
sir.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You are able to visualize it. No? So that is happening because red is monochromatic and it is more powerful also. Okay. So if there are certain lights which comprise of different wavelengths, then this kind of a phenomenon will occur.
Sir,
So,
so when it is passed with a white light, it forms like some ring kind of structure, sir.
pass through.
Sir, I didn't get that, sir. Can you explain once more, sir?
I'm saying what I'm trying to say is that laser light is there. No, generally it is made of red color, but sometimes you can use white also. If suppose that there is actually a small LED kind of thing. Okay. So instead, when you use red color, no, you will be able to find a small spot that you are able to visualize.
Yes, sir.
On the wall, you will find a small spot. Exactly, it is going to be a very sharp image. Sharp in the sense it will be crystal clear that there is a red spot. But whereas when you try to hit white, no, white will not form a small spot alone. It might form a bigger ring. That is because it is scattered.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that is what I was trying to say. Okay. It's like how my mobile phone behaved just now. Even any torchlight for that matter, it is going to behave in that way only, right? So let's think of an experiment where you are interested to see what are all the constituent colors a white light is made up of. One of such experiments is the concept of dispersion of white light through a glass prism. Okay. So what do you mean by dispersion? When you have a glass prism, when you pass white light, let's say it's a sharp white light that is passing. So how many refractions will that white light undergo? How many refractions will that white light? Sorry?
2, sir.
Will undergo 2. One due to the first triangular surface and the second due to the second triangular surface. Right? So when it goes right inside, the white light will travel, and when it comes out from the other side, what do you expect? You expect the white light to come out, no, but white light will not come out. Rather, the 7 colors of that white light will come out. This is a phenomenon which you can see itself. So a phenomenon where a white light is being split into 7 constituent colors is what is called as dispersion of white light. So that is why the heading is dispersion by glass prism. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? So please write down the heading now. Dispersion through a glass prism. Okay, they have given some example. You might have seen and appreciated the spectacular colors in the rainbow. How could the white light of the sun give us various colors of the rainbow? Before we take up the question, we shall go back to the refraction of light through a prism. The inclined refracting surfaces of a glass prism show an exciting phenomenon. Phenomenon is, as I told you, something that you can see. Let us find through an activity. So what they're trying to say, let's see if we can understand. Take a thick sheet of cardboard and make a small hole or a narrow slit. Slit means an opening, okay, in the middle. Allow sunlight to fall on the narrow slit. This gives narrow beam of white light. Now take the glass prism and allow the light from the slit to fall on one of the faces. You know why they are making that slit? Because the light that is coming from sun is actually scattered. Right? Now, if you have a cardboard here, and the cardboard has a small hole, then the light that is coming from the sun is narrowed down by taking only one ray. When this white light is passing, right, if that white light is passing through the slit and fall on one of the faces, then you need to turn the prism slowly until the light that comes out appears on a nearby screen. So you place a screen here, and on the screen, what you can observe is something like this. Okay. And this kind of a phenomenon, that is splitting of white light into its 7 constituent colors, is what we call it as dispersion. Okay. So let me read out what is given. The prism has, so this is what you will be able to observe. The prism has probably split the incident white light into a band of colors. Note the colors that appear at the 2 ends of the color band. What is the sequence of color that you see on the screen? Can you tell me, guys, what is the sequence that you'll be able to see? Violet, indigo, blue. Tell me. Let me see if you guys remember. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and
red.
red. So all put together, if you take the first letters of all these colors, the acronym that you get is called as Vidyol or Vibjor, however you want to pronounce it. Okay. You know what is the meaning of acronym, right? Acronym is the start, like a word that is created by using the starting letters of different words. Okay. So the acronym that you will get will help you to remember the sequence of colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, where violet is the light which has got bent the most, and red is the light which has got bent the least. Okay. Then this collection of colors is what we call it as band of colors. Okay, we call it as band of colors. So the band of the colored components of this light beam is what we call it as spectrum. Please make a note of this, guys. The band of the colored component of this light beam is what we call it as spectrum. Right. So generally what happens is you will not be able to see all these colors separately. There'll be some kind of overlapping or something. Okay. But to some extent, yes, you will be able to differentiate them and so. Okay. So the first definition that you need to know is what is a spectrum. So spectrum is nothing but the band of the color components. And the next term that you are supposed to know is called as dispersion. So what do you mean by dispersion? The splitting of light into its component colors. So splitting of light into its component colors is called dispersion. Okay, am I clear till this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So now we have seen there's the same thing that is happening through your scale also, but on a slightly different perspective. That's it. Okay. So you have seen that the white light is dispersed into its 7 color components by a prism. Why do you get these colors? Because you know what will happen? I'll give you the exact reason for it. Different colors have different wavelengths. Okay. So the different colors, since they have different wavelengths, those colors due to the prism will experience different kinds of angles of emergence. Means they will experience different levels of bending. That is what I'm trying to say. So repeating the story again, what happens? Each of these 7 colors have, so please write it down. Each of these 7 colors have different what?
Wavelength.
They have different wavelengths. Okay. So that is the first point. Second, due to the difference in wavelength, what will happen? Due to the difference in these wavelengths, the extent to which each light gets bent will be different. That is the second point. So write it down. Due to the difference in wavelengths, the extent to which each light gets bent, each light or each color, sorry, each color gets bent after refraction is different. Okay. Third point, in which actually it is continuity of second point, but I want to break it. Third point is in which red light gets bent the least. Okay, in which red light gets bent the least and violet light gets bent the most. Okay. So again, this experiment was also first performed by Isaac Newton. He was the first person to use a glass prism to obtain the spectrum of sunlight. He tried to split the colors of the spectrum of white light further by using a similar prism. Okay, so what he did is, again, we told, right? You cannot see them as distinct things. So to again further split it, what he did is he took another prism and kept it in an inverted position. So what is happening? First, through the slit, the white light is coming. There is the slit. The small hole is the slit. SLIT. Okay, white light is coming, and this white light is getting split into its constituent colors. And these constituent colors and come and fall on the surface. On the second prism, which is in the inverted position, then what will happen is all these colors will get combined and they will give back white light. Okay. So he thought he can further split it into constituent colors, but what was observed is when the prism was kept in the inverted position, again the white light came back into picture. Clear, guys? So this is called as recombination of the spectrum of white light. So if somebody asks you, how do you recombine the spectrum that you have obtained using the dispersion of a glass prism? It is simple. Take another glass prism, keep it in an inverted position so that the spectrum of colors are passed through the second prism. Then after 2 refractions, what will happen? White light will come off. Okay. Okay. So after this only, he came to a conclusion that sunlight is made up of 7 colors. So this is an example, rainbow in the sky. So any light that gives a spectrum similar to that of a sunlight is often referred to as white light. So any light that gives a spectrum similar to that of a sunlight is called as white light. Okay. So the best example, the best naturally occurring phenomenon without the help of a prism. So prism is everything. Prism and all are man-made. Means you're doing it in a lab to observe all these things. But the naturally occurring phenomenon is formation of rainbow in the sky. Right. So rainbow is a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after a rain shower. Why is it caused? So they can ask you, why is it caused? So it is caused by the dispersion of sunlight by tiny water droplets. So you have the water droplets, right? So water droplets are generally in this shape. Like there's a small sized onion there will be, but they can be approximated to a sphere. So when they are approximated to sphere, what will happen is, so tiny droplets present in the atmosphere. A rainbow is always formed in the direction opposite to that of the sun. This is the first point to be noted. So these water droplets, what they do is, though they are spherical in nature, they are treated like very, very small prisms. Okay, so first point is, a rainbow is always formed in a direction opposite to that of the sun because you need light. Right. Secondly, the water droplets act like small prisms. They refract and disperse the incident sunlight, then reflect it internally. So what will happen is when the sunlight is falling on the water drop, this is the actual path. This is the normal. So the ray will start bending towards the normal because it is traveling from air medium into a denser medium. Right. So it starts bending into the normal. After bending, what will happen is there will be certain rays which are hitting at a particular angle where these rays will get refracted internally. Okay, that's what we see. Did we discuss about total internal reflection? Did you hear this word at any time? I don't think you have it. Yes. So this is what will happen is this ray is refracted, and the refracted ray, when it is hitting the second boundary, they get reflected internally, and finally they get refracted again. So how many steps are taking place? First, the sunlight is falling on the surface of the raindrop, and there it is getting refracted. After refraction, what is happening? It is getting reflected internally, after which finally it is refracted. Okay. So due to the dispersion of light and internal reflection, that's what we generally call it as total internal reflection, different colors reach the observer's eye. So that is the reason you can also see a rainbow on a sunny day when you look at the sky through waterfall or through a water fountain with the sun behind you. Guys, am I clear with this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So all these things are happening due to the principle of refraction. Okay, these are all based on the concept of refraction. In a similar way, what happens is there are different kinds of effects that you can observe. One is twinkling of stars and all those things, right? So about the sunrise and the delayed sunset, all these things are happening due to the concept of refraction only. And the special type of refraction that is going to take place is called as the atmospheric refraction, about which we will see it in the next class. Okay. So atmospheric refraction and scattering of light, we'll finish it in the next class and we'll do some problems. With that, this chapter is over. Okay, guys. So I suggest you all to study and come before the next class. Any other doubts from today's class?
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
No
No
doubt,
doubt.
sir.
Good. You can wind up, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.